This is your host, Tia. This is your host, Tia. Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Top 10. Live. Geek Vibes Nation. Geek Vibes Nation. Nation. The Top 10. The Top
10. Who wants to do good stuff, right? Like, who wants to talk about the best couples? I don't know. I'm just saying. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another amazing Top 10 by Geek Vibes Nation. As always, I'm your host, Tia, and I have with me Brittany. I feel as if we just did our last Top 10. I don't know why. I feel as if we just did the top 10 best video game characters. I don't know if you feel like that, but I certainly do.
I do feel like that. I always I think it's because we're doing it on Mondays for right now. Like, I know next week we'll go back to normal, but it's like, I guess there's just something about a Monday where you're like, it feels more in routine.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm sitting down here and I'm doing my spiel, and I say to myself, wait, didn't I just do this?
I sitting there, I was like, it's felt odd not doing it on the Sundays, but I'm kind of like, it's sometimes a little bit refreshing to change up the routine a little bit, though.
Brittany says that as I'm sitting here going, I'm tired. I've had like 2 cups of coffee before this just to like jazz myself up.
And now you know how I feel in the mornings.
Oh, Lord. We need to start doing it in like the afternoon, get a middle ground for both of us. But I did very much enjoy last week's topic, which was the top 10 top 10 favorite video game characters. And you can, of course, check that episode out on our YouTube channel, Geek Vibes Podcast, as well as anywhere that you can find frickin' podcasts, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, iHeartRadio, all that good stuff. Just type in Top 10 with Tia. But this week's is going to be, so last week we went favorites, and this week we're going on the negative, and we're doing Top 10 worst TV and movie couples, because who wants to talk about the best couples? We want to talk about the worst.
Speaking of the other podcast, though, that made me laugh is, I can't remember who it was on Twitter that was like, I already know that Kirby's not going to be on here. And we're like, well, see, actually.
I felt very smug. That was our friend Chris, who is part of the Geek Vibes Nation family. And I was feeling very smug going, you know what? Kirby was on that list.
It's funny, in my Discord right now, they're going on about how much they love Kirby right now, and it got me thinking about the podcast. I was like, hey, we just did that.
We love Kirby. Kirby is the best. And again, we gave you that one for free, guys, but if you want to find out who else was on our top favorite video game characters, again, you got to check it out. But I'm excited for our top 10 worst TV and movie couples. I feel like we've done maybe something like this before in the past, but Brittany and I have literally been doing the top 10 probably for about 2 years now. So it's time to like update the list. It's time to get into it. And before we jump into the fun, of course, I always got to give a shout out to our friends over at Stranger Damies. Stranger Damies is a D&D podcast from the main Damie family of podcasts. They stream every Wednesday. You can, of course, find them on Twitter and Instagram at Stranger Damies. Mark, Ant, and Dan are really good friends of ours. They also have a podcast called They Call This a Movie, where they do some awesome podcasts about really bad movies. So if you want to laugh while, and sometimes, listen, honestly, sometimes movies you like end up on their list. Like, I love the movie League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and they went through that movie. It kind of brought a little tear to my eye, but, but they are amazing. And they also have a sister podcast called Game Vault Podcast that streams on Twitch, so make sure you check that out. But Yeah, so please make sure you check out Stranger Damies. Really great guys. And Brittany, I think we should just dive into our top 10 worst TV and movie couples because I'm just excited to see what's on your list. Because you actually texted me going that you were like excited and that you liked your list. So I was like, oh, I like hearing that type of enthusiasm. So why don't you start us off with number 10?
I laugh because I have two are from the same show, and I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. If they're bad, they're bad. Since I have watched the show, though, I am going to do what Alex and Piper from Orange is the New Black.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Okay, go ahead.
Sitting back and, like, thinking about it, I remember years ago I had first moved into, like, my first house, and I sat there, and I remember setting everything up, and it was like, we're tired, but, shit's moved in, it's awesome, and it was when Netflix had just really become a thing, right? And I remember we downloaded Netflix, up the subscription, and I remember my parents were still over, and we put on Orange is the New Black, and we're like, this is the greatest thing. I remember my parents stayed there for hours. We just watched, like, the whole almost season of Orange is the New Black. And at first, I really loved Alex and Piper together, right? I was like, oh, they're great. Because I hated Piper's husband. And I can't remember
Larry.
Larry. God, Larry's a lame name.
Larry.
My uncle's name is Larry, and I still fucking hate that name. My great uncle. But as the series went on, I was like, at first you really feel sorry for Piper, right? You're like, oh, she's so good. And then she just becomes fucking annoying. And at first you're like, Alex is the bad one. She's the grungier type. She's the one that got, didn't she get Piper in trouble? Or what was it about it?
Well, the whole reason why Piper's in jail is because Alex named Piper while she was trying to get a plea bargain because she's like, she was caught with like a shit ton of drugs and facing like life in prison. She already had to like give names up just to even get 10 years in prison.
It's just crazy. One thing I sat there, I was like, God, Alex is the worst. But then as we were at the series, and keep in mind, it's been a long time since I watched, so I'm not always going to get everything right. But it's like, freaking, what was it? I'm trying to think. I had it right on the tip of my tongue. Oh, God, I had it, and then I lost it, because I was thinking about when, Piper screwed Alex on that one thing. Oh, wait, when you find out that Piper didn't even hardly care that Alex's, I think, was it her mom or her dad passed away?
Her mom.
And she just basically, like, laughed it off. I can't remember. Remind me. Didn't she, like, laugh it off or just basically, like, was not, so, like, didn't go to the funeral with her or something? And I was like, dang.
So I don't mean to cut off. So I do remember that whole thing, right? Because when Piper and Alex met, like Alex was already in the drug smuggling trade, and it's pretty much like alluded that they dated for a while, and Piper went overseas with Alex, was with her, and then there's that one time that Alex asked Piper to like help with the drug run. And I think that that's when Piper's like, I don't want this life anymore. We're done. I want to go home. And so they had already broken up. And that's when Alex finds out that her mom passed away. And she's like, can you please come with me? And Piper's like, we broke up, remember? And Alex is like, I know we broke up, but you like can't even be there for me. Like, yeah. So yeah, that was it. Sorry, go ahead though.
No, it's okay. It's just like I said, it's been so long since I've seen it. But at first I really shipped them. I was like, man, I like Alex and Piper so much more. But, she did such a shitty to her, and all these things. But it's just like throughout the series, you're like, Piper is kind of an awful, shitty fucking human being. Like, I did not end up liking her at all. And I haven't finished up the full series, but I know it gets worse, which I think Alex does end up screwing Piper again on a bargain. Like, I think Piper ended up not taking the deal and Alex did, or it was vice versa, but they just they were not meant for one another. That was just a destruction. At first I would be like, I almost put Larry, but I was like, you know what? They deserve better, but they do not deserve one another.
It's funny because Orange is the New Black is based on the real Piper's telling. I forget what her real last name is because it isn't Chapman, but the real Piper was dating a woman named Alex, did do a drug thing, right? And 10 years later, she's like engaged to Larry and then gets in trouble and takes the 15-month, bargain, right? But in real life, Alex and Piper are never in the same prison with each other, and Piper gets out of prison and ends up marrying Larry. So obviously they went in a different direction for the show, but like you said, I totally was shipping Alex and Piper. I loved Orange is the New Black when it first came out because I think it was, one of the first original series on Netflix, and Cindy and I loved that. Every season for probably the first 4 seasons, when the new season would come out, she would either come to my house or I would go to her house, and we would watch like the first couple of episodes together of the new season. And I liked them together at first, and I didn't like Larry at all.
Larry,
and then he's still an awful character. But then as time went on, as you said, Alex became really annoying. Not Alex, I'm sorry, Piper. I don't know why I keep getting them confused. Piper fucking sucked.
Oh yeah, I hated Piper. I've sat there and I was like, you know what? I feel so sorry for her. And there's times that Mary Sue's don't bother me, and every now and then you kind of like writing a little bit of Mary Sue, just because it makes the story go along, right? But I mean, she Mary Sue, like she was like the epitome of a Mary Sue, but a Mary Sue in her own story, and everybody realizing, you know what? Fuck you.
Well, I hated how she was so pretentious about prison. Like her sitting, you see the flashbacks of her saying to Larry, like, oh, I'm reading all these books about how to survive prison, and I'm going to get really buff in prison, and acting as if she was like going to a country club. And then she's only there for like a month before she's like, I know everything. I'm such a badass. Like, you want to fuck with me? I'm, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, sit the fuck down, please, and shut up.
I'm still not over what they did to Poussey.
We don't talk about that. That honestly, I'm one of those people that, certain things will get me to stop watching a show. Just like how I stopped watching The Walking Dead for a really long time once Negan killed Abraham. But once they killed off Poussey, I really felt like that was so unnecessary. Because it's, all right, I've watched shows before where characters get killed off, but I just felt like it was so unnecessary to do that I couldn't find any sort of justification for killing her off, and especially in the way they killed her off, that I was like, you know what, this show doesn't know what it's doing anymore.
I know. I just, there's a reason I stopped watching.
Yeah, but I definitely ended up really disliking Piper and Alex's relationship, particularly because of Piper. I mean, Alex kind of always was just who Alex was. She never, at least in the seasons I watched, and I watched seasons 1 through 4, she never really changed who she was. She was who she was. And she wasn't going to, say, particularly change that or try to dissuade you from seeing that, if that makes sense.
She never lied what she was.
Yeah, she was very honest. She was a drug runner. She maybe isn't like the nicest of people, but she is who she is, and I appreciate that. So it's like I appreciate the characters who are horrible characters as long as they're honest that they're horrible characters. If that makes sense. Huh?
Like Blaine?
From iZombie, yes. They're horrible, but they're honest about how horrible. So,
yeah, well, I agree with this. I can agree with this, Tia.
You know what was the worst Piper moment? I don't know if you remember this, but remember when she and Alex broke up, and then she got with the character that Ruby Rose played, and she thought that she was so she thought her shit didn't stink because she was able to like bounce away from Alex and get with Ruby Rose. And I'm like, Piper, stop thinking that you're like hot shit. You're not.
Yeah. I forgot about the Ruby Rose situation because it was a big deal when she entered the show.
Which was really weird because she really wasn't in a lot of episodes and she didn't have a lot of speaking parts. I mean, listen, don't get me wrong. Like, Ruby Rose is fire, right? So it's like, I totally get it. But it was just crazy because they did promote it so much. And when you look back at that season, you're like, you know, she's hardly in it.
Right? Where you're like, I get you, but I also don't get you.
Listen. A lot of people questioned themselves when Ruby Rose came on the scene. I know people who are like, huh?
I said, I can't even argue that.
Me either, honestly. Me either. I was like, I understand completely. Which begs to reason that Piper kept getting like women out of her league. Is that bad for me to say? I mean, Ruby Rose, Alex, I was like, damn, you are like getting girls that are way out of your league.
Because everybody feels sorry for her.
Oh, the poor girl who like her thing was, this is how, I know I keep going on, but this is how annoying she was, right? You had certain characters like Tasty who literally had nowhere else to go after prison, to the point where Tasty literally committed a crime again to get back to prison. He had nowhere to go. And Piper's sitting there like, oh yeah, once I get out, me and my fiance, we're going to get married, and me and my best friend have like a soap company. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. No one wants to hear this. Like, literally no one wants to hear this.
Companies.
What did you say?
I said, it's always a fucking soap company.
It's all, yeah, right? They're like, what's the most pretentious, like, waspy thing that we can do?
Soap company. How do I say this in a way that's a little bit better? It's like, oh, yes, waspy, thank you.
Waspy. I think she even says at some point, she's like, I'm a wasp. And I'm like, yes, you are. You're like the epitome of it.
You know, I never heard that term until you told me it.
To be honest with you, I never really heard that term before. Two things. Before Sex and the City, because the character...
God, that's how we started it. We started it. It's going to continue.
The character Charlotte was always described as waspy. And then this, I don't know why this, like, it sticks out in my head, right? But there was this cooking show on, like, Create Network or whatever, right? Where it was, like, Mo Rocca's, like, grandma's ravioli or some shit, right? Where every episode he would go to, like, an older, like, typically a grandma, but sometimes a grandpa, and he would go to, like, different households and, like, have their grandma show them what they make for their family. And there was this one woman, and she, you know, she was a nice woman, but they lived on this, like, really nice estate and everything, and blah, blah, like, obviously very wealthy. And she's like, well, one of the things that I make for my grandchildren is a lettuce sandwich. And Mo was like, what? And she's like, yes, you get 2 things of nice white bread with some mayo, and you lay down the lettuce and a little salt and pepper, and that's it. And he was like, that is the waspiest thing I have ever fucking heard. I was like, but to be fair, the lettuce sandwiches were to eat alongside the fucking lobster that she cooked up for her grandkids.
Oh my god! You know what? I want to be one of her grandkids. Please adopt me. But I accept the wasp. I accept the wasp.
My mom is going to be listening to this going, ooh, 4-pound lobsters.
All right.
My mom loves her lobsters. But anyway, yes, great way to start off the list. I'm going to go with the next one, and I am going to pick a couple from one of my favorite shows ever, but I think that their relationship wasn't good. And it's going to be Joe and Cameron from *Halt and Catch Fire*.
Oh shit, girl! I knew there had to be something from that show. You love that show too much for there not to be some action couple.
Well, I can't do Gordon and Donna. I actually really loved Gordon and Donna together. I hated that they divorced. You know that.
Another couple in there that I thought that you might put.
Who?
Oh, so you don't have anybody else from that show, right?
No.
Who Gordon got with after the divorce?
Oh, that's not even worth mentioning. That relationship didn't even exist to me. No, but
Hey, Phil.
we said that we were going to be snarky on this one. But I'm going to do Joe and Cameron from *Halt and Catch Fire*. So, yes, I love this show. It ran from 2014 to 2017 on AMC. It stars Lee Pace, Scoot McNairy, Mackenzie Davis, and Carrie Beesh. It takes place in the 80s, all centering around the computer boom. And I love it so much, this show. And Lee Pace plays Joe McMillan, and Mackenzie Davis plays Cameron, right? And it's like, individually, their characters are fine. I mean, granted, Joe is an asshole and Cameron is like a rebellious, like, you know, rocker and everything. But they get together in the first season, and I feel like their relationship really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, I know that there's a thing, opposites attract, right? But in this case, I just felt as if not only were they so opposite, but their personalities clashed, because you had Joe, who was very like salesman, corporate America, very emotionalist in a lot of aspects, and very like, why are you so emotional sort of guy, whatever. And then Cameron, who, you know, was very like rebellious and, you know, very messy, right? I mean, she's living out of her like backpack at some point. She like doesn't care a whole lot sometimes about personal hygiene and whatever. So you have her, but then she's also like, she's very like, in a sense, emotional, because she gets angry when like Joe or Gordon can't see the emotional aspects to putting together a computer, like what it will do to bring people together. Like, there's at some point at the end of season 1 where Joe and Gordon decide to take her her OS system out of the computer, and she's like, that's the heart of the computer, like that's what makes it special, that's what people will connect with. And they're like, who cares, it's all about sales and selling, you know? So I never thought that their relationship made a whole lot of sense with them being together. I'm sorry, were you trying to say something? I don't want to like interrupt.
No, you're fine. I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay, sorry. Whatchamacallit, you know how it is where it's like, I don't want to keep talking if they like, if the other person wants to like jump in and say something, right?
I know, I get you. I'm like that all the time. I'm just enjoying the ride.
Well, so I mean, they're together for a huge amount of time in the first season, and it's not just that, it's a lot of things too. I mean, Joe is so like, has so much commitment issues, right? I mean, to me, there's this one point in the show where Cameron meets Joe's ex-boyfriend, who tells Cameron essentially, you know, if you're looking for this guy to be a certain type of way with you, you're looking in the wrong place. And she even asked Joe at some point, are you going to get bored of me? And he goes, I don't know. And I'm like, oh my God.
Did you not feel like part of me with their relationship just felt like the only reason they were together was for him to be borderline abusive to her for the shit that he would pull to just fuck with her. You know, not saying he did it, but it was fucked up. Like, where you're like, this hurts me.
Well, so what Brittany's talking about is, so again, they bring in Cameron because she is a software engineer, and Joe starts working for this company, Cardiff Electric, where Gordon is, say, the hardware designer, and Joe's the salesperson, and they want to make a computer, so obviously they need software, so they bring Cameron in. And she spends a lot of time working on the BIOS code, and there's at some point where you think that Cameron fucked up and wiped the entire BIOS code, and they had to get Donna to come in to recover it. It was this whole big thing. Cameron felt like shit the entire episode. Everyone's blaming her, saying that she's so irresponsible. Yeah, and then at the very end of the episode, you find out that she didn't do anything wrong. Joe purposely wiped the shit, but he backed it up so that it was there. And he only did it because they were going to have a reporter come in, and he was like, oh, well, it made for a good story. But it's like they traumatized, he traumatized Cameron, didn't even think of telling her why that was a big deal. And he says so many times, why is she getting so emotional? Or it's just business, and stuff like that. And so you have that. And that's just the first season. That's just the first season.
It's just a constant shitstorm.
It is. I mean, and a lot of it has to do with Joe as a person just sometimes not feeling human and not knowing really how to process human emotions. Because he screws over Cameron because I think he doesn't even register that what he's doing is wrong. And then when Cameron gets upset, it's either Joe's I don't know why you're getting so upset, or then Joe is oh, well, I'm so sorry, blah, blah. And Cameron's you know what? No, I need to date a human being.
Good on her, though. He was such a fucking shit person. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so I didn't think that their relationship worked. There's at some point that they get back together in season 4, but the show ultimately ends with them not being with each other, and I think that was a good decision. Yeah. Can I tell you, I would have been mad if they stuck together and Donna and Gordon were the ones that didn't stick together.
I kind of want that to happen. You get pissed off.
Every once in a while, I hear someone go, oh, imagine if they brought back Halt and Catch Fire. And I'm like, cool, but can we retcon a little aspect in Gordon's storyline? Because I don't know if I want to watch the show without Gordon in it.
I know. That was killing him off, which, spoiler, was the worst fucking mistake. There's times that, with me going into computer science, I'm it's I really want to watch it from scratch. But then I'm I know that part's coming and it's hard.
I mean, to be fair, it's in the last season, and it's the third to last season in the series. I haven't, because I spoiled it for myself. I looked on Tumblr and I found it out, and I said to myself, but to be fair, I'll be completely honest, right? I love Halt and Catch Fire as a whole, but I'm not the biggest fan of season 4 because they break up Gordon and Donna, they kill off Gordon, they concentrate way too much on Gordon and Donna's kids, who are now teenagers.
I don't give a shit about those kids. Fuck those kids.
I don't give a fuck about them. And then they get Gordon with that girl who, it was as if they were trying to sprinkle it, like, hey, we know that like you really liked Gordon and Donna together, and I know we keep teasing in the show that they love each other still, but we got to give Gordon a girlfriend to kind of show you that Donna and Gordon aren't getting back together. Because I'm telling you, in season 4, there are multiple times where it's so obvious how much that Gordon and Donna still love each other. Like, they call each other every night to talk to each other on the phone. Gordon, like, you know, bails Donna out of jail when she gets arrested for drunk driving. And he tells her that to me, I thought it was funny because actually the first episode of the series starts with Donna picking up Gordon from the police station for drunk driving. So it comes full circle here.
I like how the drunk driving's so normal there, you know?
It's the 80s.
Christ.
I like how you say here when the show took place in Texas.
Well, yeah, you know what I mean, general.
Brittany,
all one place.
Brittany wanted to take a jab at New York so badly. She was like, I'm lining it up. Oh, she keeps talking about drunk driving. I'm lining it up to make a joke about New York. And it's like, girl, the freaking first 2 seasons took place in Texas.
I didn't even think about New York. I know. I'm thinking about it. Maybe you're projecting.
Anyway, so Joe and Cameron from Halt and Catch Fire, definitely my number 9. Brittany, what is your number 10?
Oh man, let me look. Let me see here. I'm gonna go with Joel and Miriam from Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Oh, I was like, at first I sat there and I go, who? And I was like, yes. Go ahead.
Yeah,
okay. All you.
Okay. So, I watched it for the first time when I was visiting Tia in New York. God, it's been like, what, 2 years now? A year? Like, when? Like, I'm trying to think how long it's been. And I remember...
You were here for New York Comic Con 2019, and I think that's the last time we've seen each other, because you have to remember 2020 hit and fucking COVID was like, ha 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 ha, friendships won.
I know, and I remember it was so sad because my brother was getting married, and I was like, I'm not going to be able to go this year, and then, you know what, it didn't end up mattering anyways. But I was going to say, you know, we watched the first season together, and just, like, Joel's thing is, like, he's so desperate to be something he's not. And to watch him be so jealous, so fucking petty that his wife is better than him in every single fucking way, especially that he just wasn't funny. You can't teach someone how to be that funny. What do they say? You're either born with it or you're not. The man fucking divorces her over how, because his fragile ego couldn't take that.
He left her for his secretary. He was also having an affair the whole time.
Oh shit! And it's like, Miriam. I can't remember. Did they call her Miriam in the show?
They mostly call her Midge.
Midge. I couldn't remember what they called her because, like I said, it's been a while. I just remember I fucking hated them together because it kind of like, it's funny because they do kind of laugh shit off in that show, where the things that you're like, oh, it's stressful, this is going to be a big plot point, and it's like, he's leaving you, and her parents are blaming her, and you're like, this is shitty, but it's just kind of all laughed off. Like, they don't make it permanently very stressful, if that makes sense. But, watching her, didn't he actually he's upset about it, and then he actually sees her performing. He's like, holy shit, she's good.
Yeah, at the end of the first season, he sees her perform, and he's like, she's good. Like, she's really good. And he gets, like, mad because he, like, hears these guys, like, heckling her because she's a woman in the 50s trying to do stand-up. And he actually, like, beats the shit out of them outside the bar. But anyway, go on. I'm sorry.
No, and it's like, I do gotta love that, just because it was like, he's kind of seeing the error of his way. But I was just like, golly, I was like, I guess it's like he didn't care when she fucking joked that she fed seafood to the rabbi and laughed it off. Oh, yeah, we gotta get, back in his graces, which I didn't realize that was such a big thing because, and you'll remember it's like we don't have a big Jewish population, so a lot of things flew over my head, and like hearing you like tell me like how fucking bad that was, I was like, oh no, that's fucking awful. How did she get away with that? It was just fucking, I don't know. I just thought it was the most hilarious thing I had ever heard. I loved it.
Well, so, all right, so to go to, like, Brittany's point, and, full disclosure, I'm not Jewish, but I do know that, there are, just like certain Catholics adhere to Lent and certain Catholics don't, if you're someone who's in the Jewish faith, I've met people who are Jewish, but still eat pork and seafood, but some don't. So in the 50s and, being, I guess, in an Orthodox Jewish family, it was Midge's marriage, and she's doing like a speech, and she says like, oh, and there's shrimp in the egg rolls. And you just see all, I'm sorry, I have to correct myself. It's not all fish, shellfish. You just see everyone freaking out, and like you see in the back Midge's mom like trying to comfort the rabbi and say that, oh, she's just joking. I just love that
everyone was so upset, and it took so long to be able to get in his good graces again because she fucked up so bad.
And so you were saying that sometimes they laugh things off in the show, and that was something that was there. So when Joel was telling Midge that he was leaving her, she says something, and I forget, it could have been Passover, but again, I can't remember which holiday it was beforehand, but they were supposed to have the rabbi over for that, and she's like, it's taken us years to have the rabbi over, and you're doing this now when we're finally getting the rabbi.
And like, didn't she, oh, it was her, what was it, roast beef, or what was it that was so popular?
Oh, her brisket.
I do love me some fucking brisket. I will not lie. I would happily take that brisket.
Like, every time she made it and she like transported, I'm like, whoever that's going to is going to be really happy.
Right?
But
loved it so much. I just thought it was such a good show, and it's like, but he was such a fucking prick. I was like, dude, this guy sucks, and I understand he gets a little bit better later on, but I still wanted her with Lenny Bruce.
He gets a little better, but I still think that even if he as a character develops more, I still don't want them back together, because in season 3 they had him kind of dating this other girl, and it was a decent relationship. And so I said there, like, Midge and Joel can be friends with each other. They're exes, they have children together. So I'm not saying, cut them completely out of each other's lives, but I think that it should be shown that, A, they were very young, obviously, because it was the 50s when they got together. Yeah. And she was trying to be this, perfect little idea of what a 1950s, housewife should be, when that wasn't her. And it's like he respects that, because you could see to a degree what he's always loved about Midge is her personality. But at the same time, it's like he knows enough that it's like if he's with her, he's just going to hold her back. And that's the thing. But yeah, oh God, I hate them as a couple. I love the show. Love the show. Hate them as a couple. Like, because the first episode is literally like her explaining her whole life. And as you said, Joel is like trying to do this thing in stand-up comedy, but he's not good. And he steals his jokes. That was the thing that it's revealed, that he steals his jokes. And Midge is like, you steal your jokes? And he's like, oh, everyone does that. And she's like, Lenny Bruce doesn't do that. Lenny Bruce doesn't steal his jokes.
I was going to say, wasn't she writing some of his jokes at some point?
not only was she writing some of his jokes, but she would go to his performances and take notes of, say, what worked, what didn't work. So it's like she was always like
He did deserve
the mastermind. He didn't. Oh my God, when he told her, because this is how much of a baby he was. Like, I don't know if you remember because it's been a little while, but for those who, if you remember, that's fine. But for those who are listening, it's like, whatchamacallit it? The first episode, he goes, say, back to the comedy thing, and he's all stressed out because, Midge messed up a little, I guess, on washing his sweater, so there's a few holes in it, and he can't, break that away from it, and he has a really bad night where, like, no one laughs, and he takes that out on her, and he's like, I'm leaving you. And she's like, you're leaving me because you didn't do good one night, and he's like, no, well, I've been having an affair with my secretary, and I'm leaving you. And she's just like, and as you said, like, I hated that for practically the first season and maybe even the second season, her like parents kept being like, well, what did you do wrong? What did you do wrong? You got to get him back, blah, blah. And I was like, motherfucker, what? What do you mean she has to get him back?
I know.
I hate that mentality.
Time. I was like, I hate this.
Yeah, so I definitely hated her with Joel. Obviously, I wanted her to get with Lenny so badly. Did you watch season 3?
I don't think I did. I just love Lenny Bruce. I can't help it, Tia.
Season 3. Like, I hate to use this, but blue balled us. Like, no,
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Like, season 3, her and Lenny meet up. And there's that one point where they're just staring at each other, like looking, and I'm like, they've never done like these like long, like silent stares. And she's just like, you're looking at me. And he's like, I know. And she says something like, kind of like a joke where she's like, is there something on my face? And he's like, I just didn't know how to tell you. And I'm like, why are they teasing me like this?
I know.
And what was I going to say? I dislike Joel and Midge so much that obviously I want Midge and Lenny to get together, but they introduced this other character in season 2 called Ben, and I kind of liked her relationship with Ben. So it's like, all right, if she can't get with Lenny, I'd at least like her to get back with Ben, and that would be okay, because Ben was kind of funny, and he was really odd and peculiar too, and he liked her because she was so odd and peculiar.
I love odd and peculiar.
Yeah.
I like it. I say that word. My mouth. Golly.
Well, no, there's literally a scene in season 2 where they're like, the family is at this country club, right? And Midge's mother is overhearing this one woman talk like, oh, my son Ben, he's this doctor and he's so eligible, but I can't get him to get with a girl. He says, I need someone who's really weird. And Midge's mom's like, I have a daughter who's really weird.
I remember I liked him a lot. Why did they not end up ending up together? Because he was still like always go, 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 or...
Why Midge and Ben, the thing is that they broke them up really strangely. It's like they were together in season 2, right? And then Ben proposed to Midge, like even got her father's permission, even though that's so old school, but 1950s, whatever. And that was going to happen. And then at the very end of season 2, Midge and Joel sleep together, but they don't get back together. And then it's not really spoken about in season 3 until like the very end when Ben like confronts Midge and he's like, and she like, he's like, you just broke things off with me. And she's like, well, I was going on a world tour, and shit like that. Like, I didn't want you to have to choose. And he's like, that was my decision to make. He was like, you should have just told me. I don't know. I was just like, Midge, what the fuck?
Why are you the way that you are?
But
and for Joel.
Okay, now that we're on this like train, my number 7, I wasn't gonna put in this spot, but I want to put in this spot because it's like it just reminded me when we were like for Joel, and it's going to be. What'd you say?
Oh, I said I need to know.
It's going to be Ed and Karen from For All Mankind. So For All Mankind is a show on Apple TV Plus, and the second season is almost finished. By the time this comes out, there will only be one episode left, but so there are going to be some spoilers here. So, for those who are listening, and it's all like about the space race and an alternative history. Because in real life, America was the first person to put a man on the moon, right? Not the first person, the first country to put a man on the moon. And in the show, it's Russia, the Soviet Union. That's the first country to put a man on the moon. So everything in this show is kind of like an alternative universe as to like, what if the space race never ended, right? So Joel Kinnaman is one of the main characters. He plays Ed. He's married to this woman, Karen, and I hate their relationship so much. It's one of those things that it feels as if like so like cookie cutter, and I don't know how to really truly describe it. It's as if they both fell into these roles that they're supposed to be in this relationship, but there's really no reason other than the fact that they're married and have a kid that they're together. Like they're not together because they like love each other per se, if that makes sense.
More like they're together out of convenience.
Yeah, and so I'll give a few other like reasons as to why I don't like their relationship. One being, in season 1, the show explores female astronauts because I don't have like the history in front of me, so I'm just like going off the top of my head, but it is interesting to talk about. So in real life, in say, I think the 1960s or something, there was a program called Mercury 13, and it was a program to pretty much test whether or not women could pass the same physical and whatever other requirements that male astronauts could. And they did. Every woman part of the Mercury 13 program passed the same exact test the men did, but they never got to go to space because it was the 1960s. And just because they passed didn't mean that, can't put a woman in space yet. No. So the show kind of course corrects that and brings women into the fold much sooner than in real life. And there's this whole like program and yada yada, and like Ed's wife, Karen, is so like old school traditionalist that she hates it. She starts getting like mad, and she gets mad at Ed for not agreeing with her because there's this one woman part of the program, Molly, who has been selected to accompany Ed to the moon, right? And Karen's like so mad at it. She's like, aren't you mad, Ed? You've been doing this for years and everything. And, she just comes in. Meanwhile, Molly was one of the original people in the Mercury 13 program that they bring back like 10 years later when they are doing the current. So it's not like she just came in and she passes everything. So Karen is so mad, and Ed's like, I don't know, she passed all of her requisites, like,
yeah, like he's so,
I don't
like,
care.
Nice about it. He's like, okay.
Yeah, whatever. Okay, fine. And so Karen's like really pissy. And another reason in season 1 that I dislike her, see, their relationship I dislike really just solely because I dislike her character. But another thing is in season 1, right, there's at some point where I guess all of the astronaut wives get together to watch, their husbands launch and watch them in space. And because Molly now is in space, her husband, Wayne, goes to Karen's house to watch things. But Karen's so dismissive of him, right? Like, she hates that Wayne is there. She, like, doesn't even really talk to him or anything like that, and she gets like so mad that he's even in her house that she even like quickly shuts off the TV and tells everyone they need to go, and she's so bitchy about it. And he like and like at some point he kind of like snaps her out of it a little, where he's like, my wife could die up there and you're such a stuck-up bitch that you can't even like give me any comfort or anything like that. You know, both of our spouses are up there together and they could die, and you don't even want to talk about it because what?
She's waspy. She's waspy in a mean, hateful way.
Waspy. And so then in season 2, which takes place like 13 years after season 1, it seems like Karen's gotten like a little better. Like she owns a bar now, and you know, seems like a little like not so 1960s housewife sort of thing. But then it's like, what the fuck? This whole plot line, I have to ask the writers, like, why did you write this in? So she's with Ed, right? Played by Joel Kinnaman, you know, whatever. Everyone knows that I like Joel Kinnaman, so I'm a little biased here. But, you know, she's with him, and at some point in season 2, they bring in this character, Danny Stevens, who's the 18-year-old son of Gordo and Tracy, who are the best friends of Ed and Karen, right? And at some point they and again, spoiler alert, because I know the season's still going on, at some point they have Karen and Danny sleep together. Like, so Karen,
gross.
Who at this point in the story has to be, I think, in her like maybe late 30s, early 40s. They never really say the like age. I'm just guessing, but sleeps with like the 18-year-old son of her best friends, who she used to babysit when he was a kid.
Gross.
Because he would. Is so gross. It's so gross. And then so in this past episode, she tells Ed that she slept with someone, that she had an affair. And he's about to go to space, by the way. Like, this is right before he goes to space. And she's just like, well, when you come back, we have to go to counseling. And he's like, wait. You don't get to drop this on me and just be like, well, we'll go to counseling. He's like, are you kidding right now? And I'm just like, I can't.
If it was on the other foot, she would be like, I can't believe you. You're sick. You know, I'm leaving you, blah, blah. She's like, you're not leaving me. We're just going to go through counseling. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Yeah. I'm just like, are you kidding me? He's just like, are you fucking kidding me right now? And she's just like, oh, something's broken, Ed, you know, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I can't. So I mostly dislike this relationship because of Karen. Not really because of Ed. I was just going to say, I mean, they hit the nail on the head by naming her Karen.
Oh, my God, right?
And I mean, there's just, I don't know, I just dislike her. And she's, again, just very, like, uppity, right? Yeah. Because in season 2, and this will be the last thing I say about it, right? So the two of them had a son in season 1 who died at some point later in the season. And then by the time season 2 comes around, which again, it's been like 13 years in between, they adopted a daughter, Kelly, who is graduating high school, trying to decide what she wants to do in life. And she's deciding that she wants to go into the Navy. And Karen's like so against that, and like he kind of throws it in Kelly's face every time. Like right before Karen tells Ed that she had an affair, Ed is coming in to say like, hey, they moved up the launch date. I'm going to be going tomorrow. And Kelly's like, oh, you know, love you, Dad, you know, blah, blah, blah. And Karen's like, you see, Kelly, this is what you know, your dad can't promise us that he's going to come home safe and everything, because that's just, you know, he can't do that. It's irresponsible. That's what you have to deal with, you know, being in the Navy, you know, making your loved ones worried, sick. And I'm like, shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up. Oh my God.
Don't do wish you could say to these, like, fictional characters sometimes, shut the fuck up.
You talk too gosh darn much.
So anyway, that's my thoughts and feelings about Ed and Karen on For All Mankind.
I agree. I can't even disagree. I've heard you talk about this, and it just sounds like when there's a shitty person, you ever wonder sometimes you're like, they're so shitty, you almost feel like it's unbelievable how shitty they are until you realize there really is people like that out there.
Yeah, I mean, there has to be people who exist like that out there. I don't understand the idea of making her character so unlikable. I don't understand where they're coming at with that or anything. But I don't know. I don't know with their characters. I feel bad again for Ed that he literally has to go into space now thinking about that. I'm like, fuck, that's...
Well, I guess she told him right before then, like, I can't really do anything about it. Like, I'll give you some time to calm down before you come back.
It's ridiculous. I don't know. So I don't like her character at all. And again, I just think the whole, like, her sleeping with Dan, like, okay, her having an affair is bad enough. But even if she wasn't with Ed, right? The fact that she's, like, a 40-something-year-old woman sleeping with, like, the 18-year-old son of who her best friends are, I'm like, ew.
It's gross. It is really gross.
That's really gross. So, yeah, no. Ed and Karen, not a fan of their relationship at all. We have one more episode of For All Mankind Season 2. It'll be interesting to see what the fallout is of the big reveal with Karen telling Ed about the affair. So I'll be interested to watch it. And the show has already been renewed for Season 3, so I am excited for that. At least one of the shows that I like has been renewed.
Oh, Gia, buddy.
Still not over them canceling American Gods. But anyway, let's go into number 6. Brittany, what bad couple do you have for us?
Well, that's the perfect segue, Tia, because I'm going to go with Laura and Shadow Moon from American Gods.
I was going to put that on my list.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can change. No. I have others.
No, Brittany, I have others too. It's perfectly fine. Yes, let's talk about this.
Let's talk about this. I'm going to go Shadow and Laura because, from the get-go, one, Laura, you don't know if she truly loves Shadow. She's constantly wanting to kill herself, which is depressing enough as it is. And, Shadow is so hopelessly devoted to her that, he's her quote-unquote puppy, which is so demeaning as it is. And at first, I really did hate Laura. I was like, she's a shit person, She dies with, was a certain something in her mouth. From dying. She is sucking off her husband's best friend in the car when they have a car accident, later known to be caused by Sweeney himself, and dies with junk in her mouth. And so you're just like, this is really shitty. As the series goes on, you're like, God, it's easy to hate her. And, one thing with it, too, is as you kind of develop, like, loving Laura, you realize it's like, Shadow is just as shitty. Like, I get that, she did cheat on him, but does that mean that she deserved to die or go through all the shit that she, he kind of shrugs off the fact that, Odin killed her. He never really, like, he knows that, he did that, and he kind of like, oh, that's kind of the name of the game. Like, doesn't even blink about it, because he's so obsessed with, like, his own life, because he wants to be something important, which, ends up biting him later on, so I can't really complain too much. But, I don't know. It's just, like, it's easy to just hate her, but when you go through life and you're like, he's kind of a shit person. And, it's kind of easy to go, well, she was a shit wife. She convinces him to rob a place and it ends up getting, being botched and he ends up in jail. They're just, I don't know. That's the short of it. They are just not made for one another. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think that the biggest issue with their relationship is that they weren't who they weren't their real persons, right? Especially with Laura going into the relationship, right? We see Shadow think of Laura in such this, like, you know, ethereal way, right? Oh, she's my loving wife, you know, could do no wrong, blah, blah, blah. In reality, she was very bored with life. As you said, she, you know, tried to kill herself and everything. She put on a persona of who she was around Shadow. Like, if you remember the flashback scenes from season 1, right? How she's acting in front of Shadow is so different than who we saw her act as the entire freaking show. It's like she was never who she really was in front of Shadow. She was trying to be something different to kind of, I guess, mold herself into like something he would like. And as you said, she convinces him to do a robbery that it's going to put him in jail when he didn't want to do it anymore, right? And so that fucked up. And obviously she had an affair while he was in jail and everything. And so their relationship really, to me, just felt as if it was just fake from the beginning. And then, listen, didn't we say when we were doing our like top 10 best moments from American Gods season 3, we were like, yo, we were really liking Shadow until that final episode, because it's like at no point did Shadow ever say to Odin, like, you killed my fucking wife. Like, you know, that never seemed to be something that he brought up. And then the fact that he's like telling Laura that he wants to be this big, powerful thing and, you know, fuck off pretty much, blah, blah. And I'm like, who they are now does not work with each other. And it never worked with each other.
I hope they don't try to push them back together, because it's like, I don't know, they're just not made for one another. And it's like, he definitely, like, he's almost like straight up, like, just shitty to her. And it's like, yeah, I get it. She cheated on you. I think she kind of paid with death. You know,
well, she says
away.
that. She says that to Sweeney at some point in season 2, because he's like, oh, you know, what you did, blah, blah. And she's like, I didn't know that was a fucking death sentence. Right.
I know. I like that one where it's like, I didn't know. Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, so it's like she definitely paid for it, like in kind too, which she calls it. So I mean, and come on, we love Laura with Sweeney anyway, because they could both be shitty people together.
You know, it's like where people are so unabashedly shitty, you're just like, that's a shitty person, and that's who they are, and I accept it. Kind of like Negan.
Well, didn't we say, like, Blaine from iZombie? It's like, you can be shit. Just admit that you're shit.
Yeah, it's like, that's all we want out of you.
That's all. No, I agree that Shadow and Laura are probably, like, the worst fitted couple. I actually, like, remember in season 2, the first maybe 4 episodes, Laura kept saying that, well, I know in season 1, her whole thing was to get back to Shadow, right? And then in season 2, she's like, I have to go save Shadow. And I kind of loved the scene, even though it was heartbreaking, the scene when Wednesday said, oh, look, your heart is beating again, and it wasn't for Shadow. Like, pretty much, like, stop this whole you trying to get back with Shadow thing. It's never going to happen, and nor should it ever happen. It's not a good idea. You guys are not good for each other at all. You're not, like, who each other wants to be, and you're not on the right path. Like, you know, it's just, they just had all, like, in season 3 when Laura goes and talks to Shadow and he's like, oh, do you really have to go and try and kill Wednesday? It's like, yes, he killed her. Did you forget that?
He almost is like more upset about her trying to do that rather than, you know, the fact that it happened at all.
I know. It's like, what sense is it? Yeah, Shadow, I really liked Shadow in season 3 up until the last episode. And I was like, fuck you, Shadow. And when Shadow got, you know, the rug pulled out from under him in that finale, it's like, you know, that's what pride will get you.
I know. You know, and I still want to know. Oh, we're never going to know. I want to know what's going to happen.
So it's with reports, right, that Starz canceled American Gods. So Starz is the distributor, right? It goes on Starz. But the production company is Fremantle. And apparently Fremantle is trying to get either a TV movie or a limited series of like, maybe 4 episodes to wrap things up. Because they put out a tweet or like a message like a week ago that said, we are very committed still to finishing American Gods, blah, 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 blah. And I even tweeted out to Neil Gaiman, who is the guy who wrote the original book, right? And I wrote that, I just pretty much tagged him in an article like that, and he responded going, "It's not dead." And I'm like, okay, well, can we know what's going the fuck on?
Yeah, I want a little more information than that. Not to be greedy, but I need a little more than that.
Like, are we getting closure? Or are we not getting closure? Because my thing is, so, listen, I've been through a lot of shows that have gotten canceled, right? Daredevil, The Punisher, Luke Cage, Iron Fist. But my point in saying, or even when iZombie was, given its 5th and final season, right? The Twitter pages, the actors, right, always tweet out something thanking the fans. They've loved the ride, yada, yada, yada. I haven't seen that once with American Gods. Like, the only person who tweeted about it was Ricky, who pretty much, put this, Instagram post out saying, don't lose hope, everyone. Don't worry. We got this. Pretty much telling everyone, it's going to be okay. We're working very hard to finish this. But the American Gods Twitter page or Instagram hasn't put anything out, nor have any of the actors. So I'm like, what do you guys know that we don't know?
Yeah, because y'all are seeming real casual about this whole thing.
Everyone's being quiet. Go on any of them. Yetede hasn't tweeted anything. Bruce hasn't tweeted anything. None of the other actors have said anything in acknowledgement. And I'm like, maybe they knew for a long time and maybe it's not a surprise or something, but they know how big their fans are. You would think that they'd at least tweet out. So I'm like, to me, that just seems as if I don't want to get my hopes up, but I also want to keep the faith.
Right. Tia's I've been hurt too many times. Just
give us a 2-hour movie. Wrap it up, I don't need a lot. I mean, yeah, would I have liked another season? Of course, duh. But just give me a fucking conclusion.
I know. It's your perspective changes when it goes between having a little, having a lot or having a little. And so you're like, you know what? I'll take a little.
Well, I listened back to our top 10 best moments from American Gods Season 3, episodes 6 through 10. And obviously we're sitting there going, come on, let's give us a season 4, blah, blah, blah. And it's yeah, again, would have loved a season 4, but at this point, I guess beggars can't be choosers. You get what you get. If they announce, hey, we're going to give you a 2.5-hour, 3-hour movie, we're going to wrap everything up and be like, okay.
Anything. You can't really bitch about it, because at that point, it's either that or nothing.
Exactly. But yeah, Laura and Shadow are not a good couple. If we do get a conclusion, right, I hope that's not something that they explore again. Because remember, the whole season ended with Bilquis, seeing that Laura and Shadow are 2 halves. And I was like, no, I don't like that. I don't like that.
Don't make them siblings. That's all I'm asking.
Right? Yeah, if they're like, hey, you two are siblings and spiritual, blah, blah, I'd be like, okay, fine, that, I'll live with that, but not them together. They are a terrible couple together.
I'm you'd rather them be in an incestuous thing, initially than them get back together. You know what? I respect that.
Well, Brittany, what else? What else does the other half mean? Like, come on, man.
I just wanted to make you sweat.
Well, speaking of incest, that's a terrible segue.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God. Okay, so my number 5 is, this should be higher, right? But again, I like touching upon things because I like going with the flow, right? And it's going to be Jon Snow and Daenerys Targaryen from Game of Thrones.
Oh, shit. That was a segue. I thought you were about to pick my pick, and I was like, shit. And you said that, I can breathe it easy now.
I know. Well, you took my Laura and Shadow.
I'm sorry. But not
I know who you're going to pick next. Okay. No, that's fine. They also deserve it.
Picking up what I'm putting down.
Oh, yeah. So I'm going to do Jon and Daenerys from Game of Thrones. Again, I loved Game of Thrones. I was late to the game. I'm not one of those people that watched it for 10 years straight or anything, but I did catch up on everything before the final season came out. And God, I hated this so much. I already saw in season 7 that they were like kind of going in the direction that Jon and Daenerys were going to get together because, they meet up in season 7 and, Jon is, he's Jon Snow and everything, and Daenerys is like the breaker of chains, the mother of dragons. They're the two, they're two of the biggest pivotal characters in the show. And so it's like, okay, they're probably going to hook them up because that's just what happens, right? Yeah. And they end up sleeping together in the season 7 finale. But what already makes it so cringe is that you literally found out like 5 minutes beforehand that Jon is a Targaryen, making him making him and Daenerys related. Literally, she's his aunt. And you find this out 5 minutes before fucking then seeing them start fucking.
Like, we're going to give you a hot sex scene, but we're going to make you feel real weird about it. Like,
that's
real
the thing.
Weird.
That's the thing. They don't reveal it afterwards, right? It'd be one thing. It's like, okay, here's your sex scene. And then you're like, oh, no. It's like, no, we literally knew. So as we're watching it, we're like, no, don't do it. Don't do it. You know what you're doing right now? No.
They wanted to kill your boner. They were like, bonk, you're going to horny jail. Like, they wanted to kill it.
It was so bad. And then, so that already is a reason as to why they should have not been together. But another is that they didn't make sense with each other, right? In the context of the show, whatchamacallit, Jon is like the king of the North, right? And Daenerys is trying to be the ruler of the 7 kingdoms, which would then be really uncomfortable because then it's like, well, Jon has been championing for all these seasons that the North will break away from the rest of the kingdoms, and everyone rallies behind him because they're like, you're the king that we acknowledge. But then it's like, then he's with Daenerys, who's like, well, the North is going to have to eventually bend the knee for me. And it's like, ooh, this is already uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And then in season 8 is when Daenerys like went crazy and off the deep end. So it's just like the whole entire thing did not make sense at all. They didn't, they weren't comfortable. And then to me at least, I thought the conversation was funny and like, it's so bad sort of thing, is Jon finds out. Like, both of them find out that they're related. And Jon's, like, freaked out, like, oh, my God, you're my fucking aunt. But Daenerys, who's a Targaryen, and they tell you in the beginning of the show that Targaryens all slept with each other, right? So Daenerys doesn't even see it as a big deal. And Jon, you can tell, is creeped the fuck out the entire time. So, like, anytime she, like, hugs him or kisses him, he's like, you could just see on his face that he's like, oh, no, I'm in danger.
Oh, no. That's why at the end, it wasn't that he thought he was saving the world. He's like, I gotta hide my dirty little secret that I slept with my aunt. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna kill her.
I'm going to kill her. That was, Brittany, that was so frustrating. As someone who, like, because I know you watched season 8, but I watched all of the seasons. I watched since season 1, right? So I rooted for Daenerys. I was like, Daenerys was like a feminist icon, right? Strong woman, breaking the chains that bind her, proving herself to be more than a small little fragile creature and everything. And you're like, you can't wait for her to get to the fucking Iron Throne, and then for them to make her a fucking insane person in the last season, and then to have it where she touches the Iron Throne. And the whole time I'm sitting there, I go, just sit in it. Just sit in it, Daenerys. Just sit in it. And she's just touching it. And then that's when frickin' Jon kills her and she dies at the foot of the throne. And I sat there and said, I hate this show. I hate this show.
And you sit there the whole time like, oh, he's going to be the true king because he's right and just, and he's good and yada yada. And it's like, you thought wrong, boyo.
Yeah, it's going to be Bran, who has, like, literally just had no role, no personality the entire freaking show, has not ever wanted the throne. I heard some people are like, well, he's a good king because he never wanted the throne. I go, that's stupid. Shut up. I feel like I'm saying that a lot this podcast, but just shut up. No, I will say the only thing that I liked about Jon's storyline in the last season is I didn't mind that he went off with Tormund and, what is called the free folk in that show. Because he really loved being there, right? In the series, when he went with them, and he discovered them, he ended up really loving their lifestyle. He fell in love with, I forget her name now, but he fell in love with one of the people in that group, and he had a real bond with Tormund and everything. So to me, I'm like, Jon really did feel as if he felt more at home with them than anyone else. So that made sense to me. But the fact that Bran was made the king, I was like, shut up, I can't.
Oh, it was bad. It was bad. I like how it's so bad that, like, people love Game of Thrones, but you ever have an end of season so bad that people stop talking about it?
I do feel as if, whatchamacallit, it has kind of tarnished its reputation a little, because you sit there and you go, man, Game of Thrones is one of the best TV shows of all time, and someone's like, yeah, but I heard the last season sucked, and you're like, yeah, it did, but the rest of the seasons, though, great.
They have lightning in a bottle and they let it out to you. They let it out.
They tried to rush it. They rushed season 8. No way it should have been 6 episodes. That was ridiculous. Every season prior to that, I believe, had 10 episodes. And for everything that they were trying to wrap up, it should have been at least 2 seasons. It made no sense. And I think the reason is because the creators were trying to rush it so that they can then go work on the Star Wars trilogy that Disney had given them, only for people to hate season 8 so much and give it such a bad reputation that Disney decided to take away the trilogy from the showrunners. And it's like, see what happens when you publish shit work.
I did not know that. That's bad.
Yeah. So the 2 guys who were behind Game of Thrones, they were set to do a Star Wars trilogy. And, Disney, I guess, had a deadline, right? So they wanted to get work on that. So they needed to wrap up Game of Thrones. They wrapped it up, and the reception to season 8 was so bad that Disney's like, no, you don't get to do this anymore.
Oh, that would suck. That really would.
Yeah, so Jon and Daenerys are my number 5. It's a terrible relationship that never should have happened. Just because you have two powerful characters in a show together doesn't mean you get to hook them up with each other. And if you're gonna hook them up with each other, don't make them related. I don't know why Jon had to be a Targaryen. That was an awful plot line to me. I hated that so much. That's not how it is in the books. At least George R.R. Martin hasn't gotten there yet because, he takes forever to write his freaking books.
I forgot you read the books, didn't you?
I didn't read all of them. I read the first 2. They were very good, very well written. You can see that there's a lot. Okay, so pretty much from what I know, seasons 1 through 4 were based on the books. And then after that, was pretty much a free-for-all because George R.R. Martin hasn't finished the story yet, right? But if you read the first 2 books, those first 2 books are pretty much verbatim how the show is. They really stuck really close to the books up until season 4. I mean, there were some things that they left out, but there are so many scenes in the book that I'm like, this is per page everything that happened in the show. So a lot of people say that the creators probably just aren't very good coming up with their own shit.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah, so, but anyway, Brittany, what is your number 4?
Speaking of incest and Game of Thrones, I'm going to go with Jaime Lannister and Cersei Lannister.
Oh my God, yes. At first when you were like, oh, I hope you didn't get my pick, I go, I know who you're thinking about. I love Jaime Lannister, and at first I hated him because when I had stopped watching, I had at least seen where he had pushed Bran basically off the fucking roof and just like bye bye kid. But a little rough there, a little rough. And I remember one time I was like, oh, everybody's like talking about Jaime Lannister. I was like, fuck that guy. And then I saw a picture of him. I went, oh no, he's hot. Oh, and then you really said, fuck that guy.
Yeah, but not his sister, which is disgusting. And I'm like, y'all are twins. And it's like, I get, y'all are twins. You got a strong bond, like a deep bond, but let's not go that deep with it. My argument of why they shouldn't be together is, one, they're related. I don't think I need much more than that on that one. Also, she's a fucking monster, for one. I think that's a pretty good reason on that one. Oh, she kind of wanted everybody dead. They have 2 illegitimate children together, which 3. I don't even... Oh, fuck.
3.
Oh, she was pregnant again. She should have been with, what's her name? I'm trying to think of her name.
Brienne of Tarth.
Oh, yeah, Brienne of Tarth. And he fucked her at last. She broke her, her oath or whatever thing. And he's just like, bye-bye, I gotta go get back with my sister. Bye-bye, bitch. Bye-bye. I don't know, it's just nasty. I just, having siblings, I'm like, that is the grossest thing I could imagine. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a few things that you're like, this is fucked up, and you can't really relate it to your own life. That, no, thank you. I'm gonna go bleach my eyeballs out, please. But yeah, I don't always have, much more reason than that, but it's like, he had such a good heart, and he had a moment with her. Didn't she threaten to kill him?
Cersei?
Yeah.
Yes. So there's this scene in the finale of season 7 where pretty much he's standing against her because he says to her, what you're doing is wrong. And she's like, oh, you're going to get in my way? And he's like, are you going to kill me? And she's like, I could. And he's like, you know what? Fuck you, bitch. And rides off. And it's such a big moment for character development. You're sitting there and go, oh my God, after years and years and seasons of Jaime, you know, being so like held by Cersei, he finally has broken away and he's being his own man and he's riding off. And then season 8's like, you know what? We like Jaime being a brainwashed bitch.
Not to his sister.
It's so gross. I don't have siblings, but I can imagine that that's so disgusting. Freaking.
It's pretty fucking nasty.
So I knew about Jaime and Cersei, right? Because Cindy watched Game of Thrones for years, and she would tell me, and I'd be like, that's fucking gross. So the first episode of season 1, when you see them fucking, you're like, wow, that's really happening right now. I knew about it, but that's really happening right now.
Yeah, it's really happening.
And when you find out that, like, all of Cersei's children are Jaime's, none of them are Robert Baratheons. It's crazy, right? But as you said, Jaime went through such a great character development ever since he met Brienne of Tarth, because before that he was like a snobby asshole. And then he met Brienne, he lost one of his hands, and he kind of like starts getting a little bit more humble. It was there, right, for Jaime to be a better person, because he always stood up for Tyrion. Whereas opposed to Cersei, who hated Tyrion, Jaime never disliked him. He loved his brother. And, you know, everyone calls Jaime the Kingslayer. But Jaime killed the Mad King because the Mad King was going to kill all the people. And so he's like, I didn't see any other way other than to kill him. But everyone gives him shit because they're like, oh, well, you stabbed him literally in the back and you're part of the King's Guard. Your oath was to protect the king. And he was like, I decided to protect the people. So it's like Jaime was a good person.
You don't on that one.
Yeah, pretty much. Which to me, it never made sense because Robert Baratheon and Ned Stark were among the people who gave Jaime shit. Mind you, Ned and Robert led the rebellion against the Mad King, and Robert sat on the throne once the Mad King was slain. So they were going up against the king, but still gave Jaime shit because they're like, oh, well, you were the King's Guard. You still should have, you know,
what dickhead.
done your duty. But yeah, I hated Jaime and Cersei. Again, do we need to say any more? They were siblings.
and they were roommates. Have you seen that?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
I've got so much shit to send you. I gotta get you hip and happening, girl.
Thanks. I didn't know I was a fucking obsolete dinosaur.
When you say that, it makes me think of Technical Boy.
I know. But I was just going to say, like, not only is it gross because they're siblings, and that is really should be the end of the conversation, but also Cersei was an awful fucking person. So
terrible.
No. She is terrible. Everything that she's done was terrible. And yeah, no. Terrible. There's also a scene that's pretty uncomfortable between Jaime and Cersei. I mean, again, all their scenes are uncomfortable because they're siblings. But there's a scene where, and like full trigger warning, right, before I say this, of sexual assault. But there's this scene where I'm pretty sure, like, Jaime raped Cersei.
Yeah, it's gross.
It is gross. Because she's saying no the whole time. And I'm like, Game of Thrones, what are you doing?
It's like, you hate Cersei, but you're also like, but I hate that.
It's like, I don't condone that. So yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like Jaime and Cersei's relationship. It was terrible. I hate that they died together. Because that's the thing. Like, Cersei would always say, you know, that they were twins. They were born together and they would die together. And so when Jaime rode off away from Cersei at the end of season 7, and when he got with Brienne in season 8, you're like, oh, yes, finally he's breaking away from it. And then when he goes back to Cersei, I'm like, he's really fulfilling everything she ever said, isn't he? This dumb fuck.
You are one dumb motherfucker.
The only thing is someone said, oh, he's going to go back and he's going to kill Cersei himself. And I'm like, see, that would have made too much sense. The show apparently decided not to make any sense in season 8.
Oh, that's depressing.
I still love the show, though. I'm sorry, everyone, by the way, for those freaking sirens. Oh, my God. I was just going to say, I still love the show. I went back not that long ago and rewatched like the first season or so, and I still enjoy it. I just forget the season 8 happened. But let's get back to the list. Great number 4. I'm gonna hit number 3. Let me look at my list. Ooh, I had some indigestion there. It's like not like that, not like that. Okay, so my next pick is going to be one that I don't have, like, say, a whole lot to say about, because I didn't really watch the show too much, but I know enough that I disliked the couple, and I know that this is going to be something that kind of, like, if anyone's a fan out there, they're going to listen to this, and they're going to be like, I don't like that you said that, but it's going to be Veronica Mars and Logan. And so, so for anyone out there, like, Veronica Mars is kind of, if you are someone who was born in like 1990, right? So you grew up in your high school was around the mid 2000s. And that's exactly when this show came out, was 2003, 2004. So Veronica Mars was such, say, a cult classic icon for the time. And if you go back and rewatch it, I mean, it's a little unrealistic because it's like in California or something, and the high school they go to is like obviously so preppy and rich. I mean, there's at one point they're eating sushi there, and I'm like, yeah, did not happen in a Yonkers high school, but the style, like the haircuts and the clothes are just on par for that point of time. You're like, if you want to do a time capsule and see what all the teenagers were wearing back then, just go and watch that show. But anyway, the show, you know, ran for 3 seasons before getting canceled. Then in 2014, it had like literally a fan-funded movie. The creator of Veronica Mars literally did a Kickstarter, and so that movie was completely made with the money from fans donating. And then in 2019, Hulu put out a season 4, right? So the whole thing, and I'm going to do like the quick rundown for those who like don't know and everything. So the show's called Veronica Mars, obviously follows this girl named Veronica, and she's like new in school and shit. And then you have Logan, who is not, I don't think she's new in school, actually. Again, I didn't really watch the main 3 seasons. I watched the fan funded movie, and I watched the 4th season, right, on Hulu. I promise I will try and get through this quickly. But Veronica, you know, she's this girl in high school, and Logan is kind of like the asshole, you know, kid who has like really rich parents and everything, and he's just an asshole because he's like super fucking privileged, right? But throughout the seasons, they end up getting together because, you know, he, I guess, gets, I don't know, she calms his anger and blah, blah, blah. They, you know, whatever. They're together. And the reason why I don't like them together is all really comes from the 4th season that was put out on Hulu in 2019, which now follows the 2 characters as adults. And the thing is that, so in the 4th season, right, Logan, who was always the hothead, always really angry and very irrational and brash, has obviously grown up and matured. He's in the military. He's, you know, calmed down. He takes like anger management classes. He's very like chill, blah, blah. And Veronica very much seems like she's hasn't grown up and she's trying to still relive like being a teenager because she gets angry about Logan not say reacting certain ways or anything like that, and gets angry that their relationship isn't say how it was in high school with them bickering or them, you know, being kind of at odds. You know, it was like that typical like enemies to friends sort of thing. If this was like a fan fiction on Archive of Their Own, that would be the tag, like enemies to friends. You know, so Veronica like doesn't like that. And there's at some point in the show where freaking you know, Veronica's like goading Logan, and Logan literally like punches a hole in the wall, and he's like, "What is that? What you wanted to see from me?" And she literally starts like making out with him. It's like she did want to see that from him, and I just thought that their relationship.
What kind of toxic bullshit is that?
That's what I'm saying. I think their relationship was super toxic. It didn't know how. I think maybe a lot of that could have come from the writers not knowing how to write these characters outside of like a high school experience. And it just seemed as if their relationship was really toxic and Veronica was really harmful to Logan's progress as a person. So I really disliked their relationship for that. And I don't have a whole lot to say because, again, I really didn't watch the first 3 seasons because I didn't watch it when it first came out. And then I tried to go back and rewatch it, and it is a little dated. And I can't, this is the thing with me, Brittany, I can't take shows seriously that are supposed to take place in high school, and they're so unrealistic for what high school was. Like, again, you have all these kids that like are eating sushi in the middle of the cafeteria, or, you know, they're this, that, and it's like, and it felt like a teenager's perception of what high school is going to be as opposed to what high school really is. And so that's why I didn't really watch the first 3 seasons. But yeah, so this is my thing, Logan and Veronica. Sorry for going on and on and on, but I just, when I watched that final season on Hulu, I was like, this is so toxic. And I think a lot of people agreed. I remember seeing a lot of reviews at the time, people saying like, did Veronica just not know how to grow up?
I know, it sucks when you take probably a very beloved character and make them such a raging bitch. You're like, they're kind of an awful fucking human being.
Well, yeah, I think that was a huge thing about it because, spoiler alert, I guess, I mean, it's been 3 years since the final season came out on Hulu, but at the end of the show, Veronica and Logan get married, right? And then Logan gets killed.
We can't let these people be happy. What do you mean?
And you know, that's the crazy thing. When they asked the creator of the show, and they asked Kristen Bell, who plays Veronica, who was kind of a producer of the 4th season, when they asked the both of them, like, why did you guys decide to kill Logan off? He was such a fan favorite character. They're like, oh, well, they pretty much admitted that they didn't know how to make Veronica like this independent PI while having her be happily married. And I'm like, there's a way to do it. Like, there's a way to do it. You just simply saying that you didn't know how to have a female character that's strong and independent, but also in a happy relationship makes 0 sense.
Oh, no. That's kind of fucking stupid, though. It's like, hey, we could have given him his own arc, kind of like Major in iZombie.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like, so I'm not the biggest fan of Liv and Major together in iZombie, but I can at least admit that they were both given their both individual arcs, and then by the time they were brought back together, they were both developed enough for that, and they both accepted who the other was at the end. But with Logan and Veronica, to simply say that you didn't know how to have both is just such lazy writing to me. And that probably is going to piss off a lot of Veronica Mars fans because there's a lot of them out there, and I apologize about that, but from the perception of someone who had watched Veronica Mars later, that's how I feel about it.
And I think that's fair. I mean, coming in, like, from people that's like, oh, haven't watched them build up together, it's like, it just looks like a shitty, toxic relationship where she wants to see his anger come back, and you're like, wow, great relationship.
Like, don't get me wrong, like, as a high schooler, right, if I was watching Veronica Mars, I probably would have eaten that shit up. Like, oh, wow, you know, I'm kind of the outcast girl, and he's kind of like the bad boy and everything, but he likes me and stuff, you know, blah, blah, blah. Like, because those were the tropes. That's the trope of it. That's the trope of it. She's the outcast, right? He's the popular bad boy. But for some reason, the two of them get together, you know? And it was a trope. And I'm not, like, dissing it. No, he didn't. He wasn't the jock bad boy. He was more of the stoner on the beach bad boy.
Oh, my God.
You could just tell, like, again, I don't mean to insult the show that much, but it definitely went, but that's why I couldn't go back and rewatch it, because watching it from, like, the lens of an adult, I sat there and said, this is so tropey. Like, I've read better fan fiction than this.
Right? You're like, go get one of them. Dude, I love fan fiction. I haven't read a lot of fan fiction in a long time.
I haven't either, but I should get back into it because there were some really great stories. And again, if you're ever unhappy of what happens in a show or a movie, go to fan fiction because someone is definitely course correcting that shit.
That course correcting?
Don't you ever remember when we were writing fan fiction and you're watching something and you're like, I hated the way that happened, and you're like, I guess I gotta write it going in a different direction.
I remember, like, whenever like, oh, I'm trying to remember. Something happened in a show, and we both, like, basically, like, we didn't even hardly have to talk about it. We're like, let's just agree that never happened, and we're never writing it. And we're like, okay, and then
oh my God, it was a big thing too, and I can't remember what it was. Where it was like we both agreed that never happened, and when we write about it, it never happened. What did you say?
So it was probably like some kind of big death or something.
Yeah, some shit like that. I mean, listen, like, just as I acknowledge in Halt and Catch Fire that Gordon never died. But the last thing I'm going to say about Veronica Mars and Logan is the only reason really why I even watched the show is because I loved iZombie, which is created by the same person who created Veronica Mars. And the guy who plays Logan is the same actor, Jason Dohring, who played Chase Graves on iZombie. So I was like, I gotta get more freaking this guy.
Loves that man. No joke. Let it be said right here and now. Tia loves that man, and I don't blame her.
Yeah, don't hate. Do not hate. But Brittany, we are down to the top 2 in our top 10 worst TV and movie couples. What is the number 2? Technically, you're number 1.
I think mine's going to a little bit surprise you, and you'll see why. Ultimate worst couple, for me, Demeter and Odin.
Wow. Okay. I can see it, but I want you to explain it.
I was going to say, so you see in the latest season of American Gods, you know, you find out that Odin has a wife. Spoiler alert, because we are talking about worst couples. You know, and that they were married once upon a time. That here, you know, basically his brother in arms was in love with her, and that Odin slid into those DMs and basically stole her out from underneath him. And, well, you find out that Demeter in current day, that they had a falling out, and that she basically hates him. But, you know, that she just can't help but, you know, care about him and love him because, you know, that's kind of just a running thing with Odin. Even, what's her name? His new driver. I can't remember her name.
Cordelia.
Even Cordelia's like, yeah, you have a habit of just kind of like pissing people off until they just accept it, you know? And, you know, she's in a home for those dealing with like mental health issues, and she's being her true self, Demeter is, and says that she's a goddess and, surviving off the worship of the other, denizens there who believe that she really is the goddess Demeter. Well, Odin tracks her down again, and, there is that kind of toss between, is he there for money? Is he there for love? And it's easy to romanticize them because, he's telling the story, how they met, how he loved her. But you find out it's like, he was shitty to Tyr, stole her out from underneath them, even though, yes, it was her choice, that she got pregnant with their child and that they were very excited about it, but that she lost the child. And instead of being there to mourn with her, he ended up just running off and leaving her to mourn by herself, who, never fully came to terms with the loss of her child. And that Tyr was always there for her. And, it's kind of like Odin was shitty. And the whole time you can't really decide if he actually loved her and truly, I think at some point he loved her, but, he has all this plot going on that you don't know, did he truly, love her? Was he there for the right reasons? Did he just want something from her? Because especially it calls into question when we see what Odin did to his own son, and that Demeter is very wealthy, and at the end Demeter does kind of just wisp away. She kind of like turns into grain, I think, again, and then it just starts pouring rain because she said, she never truly got a chance to mourn, and I think she just goes and she does it. That was her way of mourning, but it was very, very intense. But I just cannot, as much as I love that story between them, he just wasn't good for her, and it wasn't healthy, and it was toxic. And as much as she may have loved him, he just was not good for her. He wasn't healthy for her, and it's like, I can't tell if that fucker loved her or not, and I want to know. Yeah.
That's like the thing about Wednesday. You never really know about him, but I feel like Demeter's last straw with Odin is when they're having that really emotional moment, right, between the door, where he's saying that he should have been there for her and that he never was there to mourn the loss of their child together. And she's seeming like she's very thankful for him admitting that. And you sit there thinking, okay, Wednesday, you're doing really good now. And then Wednesday turns around and says, well, I look forward to you being with me and we'll go into this war. And I think she was thinking there, like, God, everything is about your war. Like, even when I think you're being sincere because you just want to get me back, it's really a motive because you need me for this war, because you need me probably to do whatever, right?
It was to fund the war.
Right. Exactly. Such a bastard, Brittany.
He's a fucking cocksuck. He's such a fucking dick.
He is such a dick. He was the ultimate con man when he's spinning that story of how much he loved Demeter, and you think that he's really, say, putting on this show to kind of proclaim his sorrow to her. But in reality, I think that he was just putting on a show because he's a con man. He's like, man, I really need to convince her that I'm sorry so that she can come with me. And how am I supposed to do that other than say this very grand show? Because I think he thought he could just go in and weasel his way back in and shit. And obviously saw that took a lot more. He was a bastard. He freaking portrayed his his, as you said, brother-in-arms Tyr to get with Demeter. Like, he knew how much, and as you said, right, like, Demeter's her own woman. She can make her own decisions. But Wednesday knew that Tyr loved her, and he was just like, don't care.
Yeah, he's like, I want what I want. And he's like, but, Tyr couldn't stir the fire in her like Odin could. And it's like, dude, you swinging that big dick energy around. And the thing is like, I love that story and everything. It's just like, he was just not good for her. He He's very selfish.
He was very selfish, and it was sad to see that all these memories were being brought back up for her. Obviously, the loss of a child is very traumatic, and that's being brought up, and those emotions are very raw, only for her to realize you're only bringing it up so that you can get me to leave here, and that's really shitty. That's an actual trauma that she needed to confront. And it was only being unearthed and confronted because of Odin's selfishness.
And Demeter is so beautiful. I can't get over it.
Bly Danner is so beautiful as Demeter. I love the whole entire thing of Demeter. I really want to see Demeter again.
I did too. Hopefully something will give to you. Something's gotta give, right?
You can't leave me hanging. You know what I think about? I sit there and go, American Gods is literally written by Neil Gaiman. Probably one of the most, well-known authors in modern day, right? He's written all these books, all these comic books that are being adapted and shit. You would think a network wants to keep him on their good side. How do you take his literal best-selling novel that's won awards and shit, and you don't even finish the goddamn thing?
Because they suck.
They suck. But yeah, I agree. Demeter, and I love that you put that. I didn't expect you to do that. You actually did. You got me there.
Did I get you, girl? Did I get you?
You did. I was like, oh shit. Demeter and Odin, that's a good one. I didn't consider that before.
That's what I said. I was going to have two from the same show.
You know what? I didn't even, make the connection at all. I thought that, who else did I think that you would have done? What other couple was there on American Gods? I'm trying to think. No, I think you're wrong.
Fucking the Jinn and Selene.
Yeah, but you know what? Prior to season 3, I would have put them on the best list. But after season 3, they could have definitely been on the worst list because the Jinn fucked over Selene. We don't forgive the Jinn.
We don't forgive the Jinn until, I
don't forgive the Jinn.
Yes, that was my baby, and you did him wrong.
Selene didn't deserve that. Selene didn't deserve that at all.
That's poor Musha. His name is Musha, right?
Musa, the gentleman who plays the Jinn. I know. He seems like such a nice guy, and we're sitting there going, "Fuck the Jinn."
He's such a nice dude. It was always I always got so happy because he would always like my comments on stuff, and I was like, yes, he's so good. That fan interaction.
Oh my god, can I tell you, he liked one of my tweets recently because Paulie was watching this show on Netflix called Designated Survivor. And I believe it's the 3rd season, and Musa's in an episode. And I was like, is that Musa? And he liked the tweet, and I was like, I feel good.
Oh, man.
Listen, the two actors are sweethearts. Omid, who plays Salim, and Musa, who plays the Jinn. But the Jinn did Salim dirty, just like Odin did Demeter dirty. So
there.
I don't appreciate that. But we are down to the number 1 worst couple in movies and TVs. Let's go through the list before we get to the number 1, right? We got Alex and Piper from Orange is the New Black, Joe and Cameron from Halt and Catch Fire, Joel and Miriam from The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, Ed and Karen from For All Mankind, Laura and Shadow from American Gods, Jon Snow and Daenerys from Game of Thrones, Jaime and Cersei Lannister from Game of Thrones, Logan and Veronica from Veronica Mars, Demeter and Odin from American Gods, and the number one, I'm pretty sure I probably put this also on the last list we did, but it warrants another one. I hated Natasha and Bruce together. I'm sorry.
I knew it. Girl, I read you like a book. I
hated when they tried to. What'd you say?
I was saying I was just actually talking about on stream the other day. I said if you want to get Tia heated, I said Tia fucking hates Bruce and Natasha together, and Natasha was like, "Oh, but I don't like him." And I was like, "Don't say that to Tia. She don't."
I like the characters individually, right? I love Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner. I love Scarlett Johansson as Natasha. I do not like them together. I don't know why they decided to push that. It wasn't even set up, right? Let's look at other couples in the MCU. Not a whole lot. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time here, but things get set up, right? Gamora and Peter Quill. They're not together in the first movie. They're not really even together in the second movie. They're only really together in Infinity War, right? Wanda and Vision meet each other in Age of Ultron. They're not a couple in Civil War. They're only a couple in Infinity War, right? Like even Tony and Pepper aren't a couple in the first season, in the first Iron Man, but you could see the foundation there, right? There was no foundation of Natasha and Bruce. There was a hell of a lot of foundation with Natasha and Steve. Like she full on kissed him in The Winter Soldier.
That kick.
Of course. And then we get to Age of Ultron and suddenly, Bruce and Natasha never gave each other goo-goo eyes in any other medium. Then suddenly we're at Age of Ultron and they're staring at each other. Bruce is getting jealous when Steve, says that Natasha kissed him, and then suddenly they're talking about mapping out a life with each other, and how Natasha can't have children and Bruce, was probably sterile anyway. And, then they're trying to talk about running away with each other and shit. And I was like, what the hell am I watching right now? Who thought this is a good idea? Fucking Josh Whedon. We see how terrible he is now, but that's terrible. How dare you do that to me?
Trying to feed into that hot girl loves the nerd kind of stereotype, and also it's they kind of shoehorned her into they almost is she needed a relationship to be relevant. Kind of thing. And it's who do we not have that has a romance that's profitable? Oh yeah, those two aren't with anyone, so you know what, let's put them together.
That's what it felt like, where they said, oh well, right now we only have one female Avenger and she's not dating any of the other Avengers. Who do we put her with? Well, we can't put her with Thor, can't put her with Tony, can't put her with this. Let's give her Bruce. And it's what? As you said, it's the typical, oh, look, she's the girl who can't be claimed. Let's give her to frickin', the nervous guy or something. I don't know. I hated it. I hated it so much. I was so glad that it realistically only lasted one movie. I know in Infinity War, it kind of looked like they almost acknowledged it. Remember when Natasha and Bruce see each other again? Bruce is like, hey, Nat, and Natasha's like, Bruce, and I'm like, no, stop it.
If we're going back to the 90s, Gag Me was a spoon. That's when you were talking about Veronica Mars, which, by the way, quick thing with Marvel really quick, just before I forget. People are like, I want to go to so once the Marvel gym opening up, and no joke, if they opened up a Marvel themed gym where it's you could choose oh, what kind of workout do you want to go for? Do you want the Captain America build? Do you want this? And it was a training. I would be all about that, Tia. I would be all about that kind of workout.
Do you see the kind of workout they put their actors through? Paul Rudd didn't have an 8-pack before frickin' Marvel.
Holy shit.
Or the actor Kunal, I forget how to say his last name, but he's in the Eternals, right?
Yes, I saw the pictures. That was actually what inspired that, because it was the image of him where people were like, yo, when's the Marvel gym opening up?
Because literally it was like, not that he, he didn't seem out of shape or anything, but he wasn't like chiseled, and suddenly he got cast in the Eternals, and a month later he posts a picture where his abs literally look like a cheese grater, and the Marvel gym needs to open, and someone needs to whip my ass into shape.
Oh my gosh. Dude, speaking with it, I want to get fit so bad. But you know who else is fit? The Hulk. But you know what he's not a fit for? Natasha.
Oh, I like how you circled that back around. That was good, girl. That was good. No, I'm just saying I very much dislike them together. And you know what I also dislike about their whole bullshit, like, get them together, is I felt as if it tarnished their friendship, right? Because in Infinity War, when everyone kind of meets back up with each other and Natasha, say, hugs Sam, you're like, oh, that's nice, right? They're friends. They haven't seen each other, or no, she hugs Rhodey. I'm sorry. She hugs Rhodey, and you're like, oh, that's so nice. They haven't seen each other in so long. That's great, right? But then it's like that awkwardness of like her and Bruce where like they can't hug. They're just like standing aside kind of like nervously and awkwardly saying hi to each other. And I'm like, it shouldn't be like that. They're all Avengers, right? They rely on each other to... What'd you say?
Stop acting like virgins.
Yeah. That's Brittany, that's so perfect. That's exactly what it was. And it was so awkward and I hated it. So I don't know. I hate them as a couple. I guess we don't have to worry about that now, which sounds bad, but we don't have to worry about that now.
Tia, no.
I'm sorry. But yeah.
You ain't sorry.
I ain't sorry. But yeah, so Natasha and Bruce, worst couple. Worst couple in movies and TV shows. But Brittany, before we wrap everything up here tonight, do you have any honorable mentions that you'd like to throw out there?
Oh man, I'm trying to think. Salim and the Jinn. Oh, who else? Oh, I have like one more, I think, but I can't think now. Daredevil and Elektra.
Yes. I hated that relationship. That's a good one, too. That was good.
I didn't like them.
I didn't like them together at all, either. Yeah, them, Ramsay, Bolton, and Sansa, because it was...
Oh my god, I almost said that. We're in a brain sync, Tia.
Yeah, Sansa and Ramsay Bolton, not good because it was a forced frickin' relationship, and Ramsay was Ramsay, obviously.
Yeah.
I know I put this on our last thing. For some reason, it's like it stood out in my head. I remembered that I put it on our last one, which is why I didn't put it on this one. But Major and Liv from iZombie, I didn't like them together, even though... Yeah, I didn't like them together. I didn't like Blaine and Peyton together on iZombie. There's a lot of couples on iZombie I didn't like together. I was like, oh, no, I don't like that.
It felt like another Veronica Mars makeover where it's like, we're going to have these teen relationships that are really shitty.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I'm sure there's so many others that I can like pick and choose from and say that they're awful. But we already went through 10 of them, and these are pretty awful couples that should not be with each other, at all. But yeah, Brittany, I had fun with this. I enjoyed it very much. Yes. Don't we just love being snarky with each other? I feel like this podcast every 2 seconds. I was like, shut up.
Shut up. It's like, I didn't say anything. No, just shut up. Shut up.
I didn't know how else to describe how much I disliked all these other couples that I was just like, just shut the fuck up. Uh, I'm sorry. But Brittany, as always, I love doing the top 10 with you. I've had a whole lot of fun. Please let everyone know where they can find you, what you have going on next, and all that good stuff.
Gonna say you can always find me at on Twitch at Itty Bitty Brit. I've been doing a Pokemon Nuzlocke, which is the hardest shit. Basically, if your Pokemon die in the game, they die for real. Basically, if you lose a Pokemon, they're no longer usable. You can only catch one Pokemon for each route, and if they die or are uncatchable in that route, you can no longer catch any Pokemon. And I have about 4 Rattatas right now, and I am the Rat Queen. I named one of them Rat King. I did lose a Pokemon. I had a Rattata named Yeet. And poor little Yeet went Yeet, and so real sad. R.I.P. Yeet. But you can always find me on Twitter at ittybitty_Brit0. I am getting back more active on there again. I had taken a hiatus because TikTok took over my life, and I can only focus on one thing at a time. I have very short attention span. Tia knows. But yeah, that's where you can find me.
Brittany, really quick, and yes, everyone make sure that you check that out. Brittany is a very dedicated streamer who spends much of her time entertaining all of you. I thought of another really bad couple while you were talking. Rick and Lori from The Walking Dead. Hated them.
I need to put that. I remember you saying something about The Walking Dead, and I was like, who? I was like, not Quinn and Maggie, because they're goals. And I was like, who was?
They were goals.
That was that. Oh my god! Thank you for bringing that back up, because I had forgot to even say anything about them.
Yeah, they were terrible, but I just wanted to throw that out there, so they're an honorable mention. As for me, make sure that you always check me out on Twitter and Instagram at TiaFaby. You can, of course, check us out, geekvibesnation.com. Please subscribe if you're not subscribed already to our YouTube channel, Geek Vibes Podcast. We have merch out. Please make sure you check that out. We have a monthly newsletter that we are rolling out. Well, we have rolled out for the past month or so make sure you check that out as well if you're not subscribed. Please subscribe to that list for all the latest and greatest. I wanted to give a huge shout out to our associate Dom, who just got accepted into the Critics' Choice Association. So that's awesome. Congratulations, Dom. And just, make sure you check us out. Every Saturday we do the Marvel Cinematic Review, where we review the latest episode of the Marvel shows that have come out. And this upcoming week is the season finale of The Falcon and Winter Soldier, and it's going to get crazy. But Brittany, it's been amazing. Please have yourself a great night, and thank you everyone for listening. Bye.
Bye, guys.